And we're back with another episode of Before You Buy, that show where we give you some straight-up gameplay and our first impressions of the latest games releasing. As usual, it's me, your guide, Jake, and today we're talking about Animal Crossing New Horizons. It's a very special time right now, honestly. Like, for some, there's a lot of time to play video games, and we've seen Doom Eternal and Animal Crossing release the same day. So basically, lots of different gamers with different tastes have their bases covered here. And thankfully, Animal Crossing New Horizons is really great. It's very much a game that is like an if you know type of thing. If you get it, you get it. I've always kind of struggled to explain to people why it's so enjoyable. It's just charming. It's addictive. It's relaxing, which might be what some of us really need right now, especially if you're dealing directly with the coronavirus stuff. New Horizons is a bigger, bit more social, more creative game, and what I enjoy the most is that, to me, it does feel like Nintendo looked at Animal Crossing and said, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So that's actually pretty great. The new stuff here, though, does fit right in. Now, keep in mind, a lot of our gameplay footage here is early on. This is first impressions. You're going to see a lot more as time progresses in the game. I'm playing pure. I'm not like time traveling or anything like that within game time. I don't have a review copy. I'm sure you've already seen some cool stuff online elsewhere, but I'm just going to let a lot of it run so newcomers can just see what the typical average gameplay loop is like. Because honestly, it's pretty chill. Now, after asking on social media how I should approach this video, because I wasn't sure, I listened to you guys, and I'm going to do this in two chunks. The main part, first, I'll give the pitch to newcomers, people who have never really played an Animal Crossing game, why this one is good, why I think it's like for a very specific type of player who wants a very specific type of experience. Then after that, I'll acknowledge and get into some of the new stuff added that I really enjoy for, regular fans of the series. So what is the deal with Animal Crossing? It's all about the chill vibes, It's getting into a flow of the gameplay loop. That's the main event. It's partly a grind, but not really, but also it's part rewarding. You create your character with a few simple customization options that do expand later on, and you're dumped onto an abandoned island getaway with two other tourist neighbors and the raccoon company that brought you there. Basically, it's like you're establishing a colony. You set up a tent anywhere you want on this small island and begin doing these non-stressful activities to slowly progress. You're catching fish, you're chasing bugs with a net, you're collecting seashells, you're digging stuff in holes, you're harvesting fruit off of trees, chopping trees to get wood to then craft stuff, selling stuff you find at the local store to get money, use that money to either buy cool stuff for your little tent or pay off your in-game loan so that tent eventually becomes a house that eventually can become a bigger house, yada, yada, yada. You can customize the floor, the wallpaper, you can fill it with items to express yourself and slowly grow the desolate camping island you inhabit into a real town with like a museum stocked with fossils and animals, a real proper shop, and way more inhabitants. There's cool music and sound effects and lots of cutesy, goofy dialogue that all of the inhabitants kind of spout constantly. Everybody wants to talk to you. Everybody's your friend, for the most part. In the earlier moments, Blathers has some really good dialogue that I really liked. In fact, some of the characters are just beloved and well-known throughout the series now for a good reason. A few hours with this game, if you're a newcomer, you'll probably be hooked, and you're going to want a shirt with KK Slider on it or something like that, trust me. You spend your time drawing pictures to put in your house or wear on your shirt. You travel and visit other friends' islands. All of this stuff while using various systems to progress. You're not really penalized for anything. You don't really die. You can never really face any true failure other than just swinging your net and missing that rare bug or failing to catch that fish. You're hanging out, achieving goals, slowly growing, and getting cool stuff. I guess maybe just like real life. I don't know. The game does run on your time of day as well. And the season is in your hemisphere, so stuff changes through night and day and fall versus summer, for example. You get bonuses for popping in every day, although, there's no pressure. It's nothing crazy. And things in the game come and go. New villagers show up, new visitors show up, and there's usually consistently always a new surprise every day, which is cool. Especially with the added emphasis on crafting. All this stuff is good. It's satisfying. Learning the new DIY recipes is fun because they become their own little rewards every time you get one. Plus, a lot of the game takes place on your phone that you have. There's an encyclopedia of wildlife, there's crafting recipes, a cool little photo mode. The phone itself, for tracking a lot of things, it's like one of the few modern editions that like really freshens things up a little bit. Now, one thing I do want to point out is that the game starts really slow because it's just you on this abandoned island, really. You know, it's slow almost to the point that it might turn off some newcomers. A lot of stuff you put time into then requires real-time day progression to move forward. So you're going to feel like you max out certain things early on and you're like, what do I do? You know, it's certainly not a game to go into like as a regular aggressive gamer ready to grind it all out. There is a grind, like I said earlier, you know, farming resources for crafting and stuff, but it's not a game you can just blast through, you know? Thankfully, as the game does get going, it's definitely one where it gets better and better the more you put into it. Especially in this Animal Crossing in particular. You know, you have the whole island here. You can actually plop stuff down and decorate and do whatever. You can customize almost all of it. You could, you know, maybe build a park, plant some trees, maybe have a farm, make a campground. You can cover it all with weird stuff. You can cover it all with trash. You really have a lot you could do, and it helps if you have a good imagination. And really, I don't. You know, you can move stuff around. You can change the landscape with paths and different elevation and water. It gets insane. There's always a crazier selection of items and weird, wacky wallpapers, stuff to craft, stuff to always be working towards and discovering. The overall progression overhaul, you know, if you've been playing these games, this is really nice, though. The Nook Miles in particular. So along with just earning the standard in-game currency of bells, you are also constantly checking off boxes just by doing things in the game. Reaching these milestones earn you Nook Miles that you can then redeem on your phone, and these lead to more rewards where you can go cash in at an ATM and purchase cooler items and have them shipped to you, along with just other significant in-game event things. Just having that big list of Nook Miles milestones in front of you, though, is just a great change of pace for the game. It means things never really have to feel too completely open-ended. There's always something, and you're always progressing and earning something. Well, at least after it opens up after the first few days. But I love that satisfying progression feel and loop of the Nook Miles. Straight up, one of the best improvements to the game. That and crafting are the big things. Oh, and obviously customizing an entire island. That's insane. Multiplayer is okay. There's local play, which is cool, I guess, to mess around with, but the online play and visiting other players' islands is, in typical Nintendo fashion, maybe a little too convoluted for its own good at first. You have to unlock Dodo Airlines, which takes a day of play before you can actually get social, and then you have to, of course, be friends with someone with your Nintendo Online, which is okay. And that's another thing that sometimes frustrates people, but whatever. Regardless, though, you have to have your gate open to have visitors, and your friends have to have theirs open for you to show up. Then you have the best friend system. These designated friends can then use their tools and genuinely mess around more on your island if you let them, and you have to ask permission for this via the in-game phone. Now, if you want to open your island up to random people who can stop in and look around, you have to get a Dodo code, which you can then share publicly. Now, if all else fails, if you have no friends, like me, you can use a special ticket to fly to a random island where you can just run around and get some exciting new resources if you want. It's all a lot, yeah, but once you figure it out, it does work, and it's fun. Account stuff is the other tricky thing that I wanted to acknowledge. This is what I've heard about for a lot of, like, families. I'm a lone wolf. Like I said, I don't really share or have many people to play around with me. But if you have kids or a significant other maybe you share your Switch with, this is going to be important to you. Now, I hope I'm getting all this straight. It seems like Nintendo wants one console per person, which is kind of unfortunate here. It seems like a lot of stuff is locked to the first person to start playing. It's one island per Switch, not one island per Switch user login. You know what I mean? Progress can be gated because of what player 1 has done, and player 2 often seems like they just don't have the freedom to change certain things in the world sometimes, so the second player on the Switch just doesn't have as good of an experience overall. It seems like it's confusing gamer parents and their kids out there. I hope this stuff is changed soon through a patch or something, cause yikes. Still, I will say, despite these things, what you're getting here is still the best Animal Crossing game by far. Drastically more ways to progress, drastically more ways to create and make stuff your own, and generally more ways to play it, and for longer. Plus, it also looks great on Switch. Some characters now actually have a tiny little bit of texture to them that's really interesting to see. Shadows and lighting are actually pretty good, and there's some cool depth of field effects going on. It's bright and vibrant, and it looks great on the TV docked, and the frame rate is decent enough in handheld mode. I think it's just a fantastic way to hang out, decompress, and just do some fun video game stuff. Maybe take a break from playing the amazing Doom Eternal if you're doing that as well, because that game is intense. You need to catch your breath sometimes if you're playing all of these games, trust me. Obviously, I highly recommend it to fans and newcomers looking for something different to play on their Switch. I mean, like, really different. I explained it, but I think you're still not prepared for how addictive and charming this game really is. But anyway, that's a before you buy. I give you some pros, some cons, and some personal opinion, and now I want to hear yours down in the comments. Let me know what you think about Animal Crossing in general. What's your favorite game ever in the series? I like the original. It's got a special nostalgic place in my heart. New Leaf also kicks ass, obviously. Let's talk Animal Crossing. What have you done in this game? What amazing things have you created? Let's talk anything down in the comments. But if you enjoyed this video and maybe learned a thing or two, clicking the like button is the best way you can help us out. We really, really genuinely appreciate that. And if you're new, consider subscribing, maybe hitting that notification bell, because we put out videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time. Be safe out there.